So, good morning and welcome back. Today is Monday, June 22nd, 2020. Some of you might have noticed, if anybody's ever actually watching these, I did not go live yesterday on my third day of broadcast. I talked about it before. It was Father's Day, and the debate was whether I was going to go on or no. And I decided not to yesterday because my wonderful wife let me sleep in, which might not sound like a big deal, but I get to do that maybe twice a year. Not that I encourage sleeping in normally, but every now and then, yeah, it's good to rest. And then I decided to spend the day with my family. It is Father's Day, and the whole point of Father's Day is celebrating family. It was a Sunday, work can wait. I believe in work. I enjoy my work. I enjoy doing this, but there's more to life. And I think part of being means maintaining other aspects of yourself, such as a good family life, a good social life, and recognizing that downtime is also essential. If you work all the time, you burn out. That's my view, anyways. Nonetheless, it was beautiful Father's Day, and I'm now ready to continue. Today, I want to talk about something else I've read, which pretty much lays the foundation for um, changing your mindset, changing your paradigms. Um, I'm a guy who needs to understand things. And these are basically the laws, the natural laws of the universe. This is how mindsets work. Um, you see, we are used to dealing with the natural physical world. Like right now, I'm dealing with a mosquito biting me. Um, but we deal with the natural world our senses can perceive, and there are natural laws to the physical world that we all accept as absolute truths because they are. I'm not a physicist, so I can't name them in the proper order or necessarily describe them all. But stuff like the law of gravity, which is basically the natural law of attraction between masses. Um, you know, you know it is what goes up must come down, and so forth. It's going to happen. Magnetism has its own laws that it obeys um, regularly. There's another law. I don't know if it's Newton's law or whatever. Uh, but every action has an equal and opposite reaction, which is what's used to make rockets propel and guns fire and all these other things. Um, these are immutable laws. Now, you can try to bend them sometimes. For example, I had this discussion, somebody said, well, you can defy gravity. Airplanes do it all that. Well, airplanes are not defying gravity. They're just following other laws whose powers are stronger than gravity on its own. But stop applying those laws, and gravity becomes the dominant law again, and that plane will fall from the sky. You've got issues of thrust, which is that equal and opposite reaction, or the propeller, which has something to do with air currents and stuff. And you've got things like lift and drag and so forth. I'm not quite sure. I'm not a pilot, but I know these work. Same with the rocket ship. I mean, when it blasts off, it's because the explosive force underneath it is stronger than gravity. But if it stops thrusting its rocket before it gets far enough from Earth to break its gravity field, the rocket's going to fall back down to Earth. Why? Because gravity will still be there. So you can kind of bend around those laws, but you can't break them. They are absolute, and we all accept that. We're all careful not to fall because we know we will fall down. Nobody falls up. That being said, our minds, while they're anchored in the physical world in the sense that they're part of our brains and are basically molecules, DNA, all atoms, all that stuff, they still operate on a different set of laws that is out there. And I think the difficulty with a lot of this, why a lot of people have this, is because it's very esoteric. It's intangible. You can't just say, "Oh yes, I can observe it," like picking something up and dropping it. Yeah, observe gravity. These laws are a little more difficult to test, and really the only barometer for evaluating whether they are real or not is the measure of success you gain by following these laws. Um, because unlike the physical world where you can't resist it, um, these laws of these natural laws of the universe on the mental sense, um, it's something you actually have to practice and become aware of. And when you do, then you see its effects. But when you do not, um, you can actually have these effects used against you. Um, so you're still witnessing it, but you're not aware of it. And in fact, it can impact you in a negative way. And if you are listening to this and you don't know what I'm talking about yet, let me just state the laws for now, and then we'll try to discuss the concept in general a little more. As it progresses, I will delve into each individual law naturally to explore the theme a little more deeply, simply because it's not always easy to grasp. Um, so, oh, one last thing before I actually name these laws is the other challenge is that you need, because it's not easy to measure instantly these laws, you kind of have to accept them on faith. And I will admit right now, faith is a difficult concept for me. I am much a believer of science. That doesn't mean I dismiss what's out there, in the sense, we can't see magnetic forces, we can't see radio waves, we can't see this, we can't see quantum fields, uh, but we know they're there. They're all forms of energy manipulation. Um, but faith is still a difficult thing to do because faith has led history and mankind down many, many, many horrible paths, historically speaking. And there's a lot of stuff that people take on faith that is absolute rubbish. I'm not going to get into a political or religious debate at this point. That is not the point of it, and everybody has a right to believe what they want to believe. But let's just say my belief system when it comes to that um, is very much based on actual evidence, um, and faith seems contrary to evidence sometimes. Because in this point, faith is what we let you struggling with. But I will make heads or tail of this. That being said, oh, it says my connection is unstable. Please wait while we try to reconnect you. I don't know if the video just jumped, I should say. It said unstable connection. Hopefully nothing was missed there. But let's try to connect anyways. Let's try to move this on. The natural laws of the universe. So the first one is, sorry, I'm reading down here, is the law of perpetual transmutation. Uh, Now we'll explore, like I said, these in depth later, but the basic gist of it is that um, transmutation is about transformation, correct? And the idea is made of energy, which it is. If you break it down, if you go deep, 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 deep down, everything's made of energy, and energy moves into this physical form. And the idea is that the image you hold in your mind most often materializes in results in your life. What I understand from this now is um, the thoughts you form in your head actually manifest themselves because that energy will become. Uh, so, an optimist will often have more positive results in their life than a pessimist because the pessimist is in a negative mindset and attracts that kind of, will materialize that kind of negative results. When you fear something a lot, it'll happen. Just as when you anticipate something greatly with excitement, it will happen. So, there you go. That's the way I understand it so far. We'll explore it later. If I got this wrong, I apologize. Second law, the law of relativity. And no, this is not the Einstein law. This is not the E equal MC squared. Although that's, I believe, a theory of relativity, not a law. Um, it's how everything is relative to itself. Nothing is good or bad. It's only good relative to something bad, or vice versa. Nothing's big or small. Um, my computer mouse right here is small compared to me, but it's big compared to an ant. It's all relative. So nothing is good or bad, big or small, until you relate it to something. Um, so we should try to relate our situations to something much worse, and ours will always look good. Well, that's a positive attitude. In fact, let's take this coronavirus issue happening right now, COVID-19. Yay! Yes, um, it's bad. I mean, some people are sick, some people are dying. Um, most people are locked down. It's affecting millions, and globally, perhaps even billions, who knows, of people's jobs. The economy is crashing. People are in self isolation. They can't really socialize. And it's just difficult times physically, mentally, economically, so forth. And yeah, it feels bad. But hey, let's hold it relative to 100 years ago's pandemic, the Spanish flu, where I don't know how many millions, but I think it's around 25 or so million died. Hey, this is relatively much smaller. Let's go to the plague in the Middle Ages, wiped out what 1/3 of Europe. Um, that was bad. So this, in turn, you know what? The percentage of people affected is a lot lower, and it could have been worse. It really could have been worse. And for the most part, people are practicing social distancing and masks and so forth. I mean, some parts of the world are seem to be hung up on that, but most people across the world seem to be doing the right thing, and it's getting under control. So things could be a lot worse. So I think that's relativity right now. The third law is the law of vibration and attraction, and this is that everything vibrates, nothing rests. Now, the first time I heard this, it was like, you mean vibrate mode? Um, it's not necessarily an actual physical vibration in this sense, although if you break it down, again, go to the atomic level, everything's constantly motions, atoms, electrons, neutrons, protons, and so forth. They keep moving, and everything has its own energy, frequency, wavelength, and so forth, hence a vibration. I mean, that's what it is, isn't it? Frequencies that modulate up and down, those are vibrations. The amplitude and the longitude, is that what it is? Amplitude and longitude? Or frequency, sorry, amplitude and frequency. Um, Change like that. Um, so everything vibrates like this, nothing rests. Conscious awareness of a vibration is called a feeling. Your thoughts control your paradigms and your vibration, which dictates what you attract. So when you are aware of your vibration, it can control what your vibration is, and you do that through your thought. You can vibrate at the same level of what you want to attract. So if you're in a negative zone, you're vibrating at a negative frequency, and you're attracting more of that negativity, and vice versa for the positive ones. Um, Hence, the wealth mindset will attract wealth. That's probably the law we're going to be focusing on most throughout this journey, but it's still good to know the other ones and see how they apply to what's happening here. So, the advice given is that when you're not feeling good, you become aware of what you're thinking, and then you think of something pleasant, which is probably easier said than done. This takes a lot of practice, but nonetheless, I've caught myself a few times being like, oh, no, gotta stop going down this spiral of negativity and pull myself out and change my thoughts. Next one, polarity. Uh, and the concept is that everything has an opposite. Hot has cold, up has down, good has bad, and so forth. It says constantly look for for the good in people and situations, and when you find it, you tell that person. People love compliments, and the positive idea in your mind makes you feel good. Remember, good idea, good vibrations. Okay, that's good advice. I'm still trying to relate how the polarity actually works, other than perhaps if you see something bad, look for the opposite good in it. Perhaps that's what it means, but we'll see some more when we get to that chapter later. Look for the good, because everything is both yin yang, I guess. The next is the law of rhythm. And I get this one. Tide goes out, night follows day. There are good times and bad times. And when you're in a downswing, don't feel bad. Know that the swing will change and things will get better. There are good times coming. Think of them. Um, this is true. Nobody's perpetually happy. Um, Everything comes through waves. Um, and when you do hit a low, you're not going to stay there. Things will get better. Um, I think again, this COVID-19 situation is evidence of that. Um, this is a low point. It's not going to stay this way forever. The economy will regain. People will thrive again. People will go out and things will go back to normal, which I guess is the middle point, and then things will be super, and then hopefully it doesn't dip always the same low. But that is what that is. Side note, I said earlier, nobody can be happy forever or perpetually. I think we all try to be, and that's not a bad thing, but I think we have to recognize when the downs happen and process them. You can't deny them. You know, if you're feeling legitimately sad, I don't think you're supposed to just think of something good. No, process the sad. Just don't dwell on it. Um, and I think that's the difference. Ugh, sorry, mosquitoes everywhere. If you constantly dwell on the sad, the bad, then that's where you vibrate. But if something just happens, well, you still need to process it. You are human after all. And it is what it is. I met several years ago a gentleman who claimed to have found a secret of happiness and that he was always happy, no matter what. And I remember the first thing is talking to this man, thinking how odd and how unnatural, and how you're probably just suppressing stuff here, and one of these days that's going to explode. You can't always be happy. That's not healthy, you know. And I didn't want to challenge him on this because, to be honest, I didn't want to get involved in something. There was an event that was about to happen, so it was just a 5 minute conversation. But I'm like, if you lose a loved one, you can't be like, oh, yay. I mean, you might want to put a positive spin, and if this is the kind of thing you believe, say, oh, they're going to a better place. Maybe, but you still need to grieve. That's the rhythm, the ups and downs. Um, accept them. Don't deny them, just don't dwell on them. When you're in the down, acknowledge the down, but focus on or be aware that the up is coming and try to put your focus on that once you've processed the down. Anyways, that's the way I see things. We'll see. Law number 6. That's right, 6, yes. Law number 6. It's the law of cause and effect. And it says that whatever you send into the universe comes back. Action equals reaction. Their action and reaction are equal and opposite. So if you say good things to everyone, treat everyone with total respect, it will all come back to you. Never worry about what you're going to get. Just concentrate on what you can give. That sounds like good advice, and I think this kind of advice, we've we got even as a kid was, treat people the way you want to be treated. I think that's the layman's version of cause and effect. Um, Treat people horribly, they will be horrible to you. Treat people nicely, they will be nice to you. Be generous with them, they will be generous with you. Of course, not everybody does that. You're going to meet grumpy people who don't want to share that anyways, but you'll meet people who are even bigger shares than you are, and I think it all balances out. But if we all kind of practice this, um, I think we'd all be a lot better off. So this is a good law to remember. And finally, the law of gender, number 7. Every seed has a gestation or incubation period. Ideas are spiritual seeds and will move into form or physical results. Your goal will manifest when the time is right. No, they will. Okay, I don't know what that actually has to do with gender. Maybe when we get further in the book, it'll actually explain a little better. But the gist of what I get from this description is that things take time. For example, if you're into gardening, well, if you plant seeds, you're not going to get your tomatoes instantly. You have to let them grow. Um, I think it's the same way with whatever you're trying to achieve or transforming yourself. If you plant the seeds, you follow these rules and you change your thoughts, your mindset to work towards something better. It won't happen instantly, but it will happen. Just give the universe time to make it happen for you. Give yourself time to make it happen for you, and keep working towards it. And eventually, when they're ready, your goals will manifest themselves. Um, it'll likely take a very active part on your behalf, but that's okay. Um, it's not a race, and I think that's fine too. Already, since I've started to change my mindset um, by doing this, um, results have been getting a little more positive for me. That's good. Is it great? Am I a millionaire yet? No, of course not. I still have to work towards it. Um, but little things are starting to respond to this mindset, and we'll get more into that as the week progresses. Anyways, I've already been live for almost 22 minutes, short of perhaps a little connection glitch. We'll see. So I'm gonna simply end on a gratitude note once again. I am very grateful for a wonderful Father's Day yesterday. My wife went really all out to um, make it special for me. And my daughter, well, what can I say? She's just about the greatest thing I've ever done in my life. The greatest little person I've ever known, and a huge source of joy. Anybody who has kids out there, you know what I'm talking about. So I'm really grateful for them, and I'm grateful with this beautiful, although very hot weather we've been having for a while. This allows me to do this outside in the morning, and I'm having fun with this. And I'm grateful for just the opportunity to do something like this and help me process this stuff. On that note, I shall bid you farewell and see you all tomorrow.